Alright, what is going on, guys? Still working through the London card, but I want to go ahead and get the first video done for Dana White's Contender Series. It's going to be this Tuesday. Awesome main event here to start us off. We got Joe Pyfer taking on Ozzy Diaz. This one's going to be at middleweight. Ozzy is 31, Pyfer, the younger fighter, at 25, soon to be 26. Ozzy is 3 inches taller. His reach is not listed, but I don't think there's going to be a huge reach advantage either way. I think it's going to be definitely less than 2 inches, so I don't think it's going to matter all that much. But I will start with Ozzy Diaz. Currently holds the LFA belt. Fought with LXF before that. Like most guys you're going to see on the Contender Series, a lot of first round stoppages while he's working his way up the regional promotions. 2-0 with Bellator looked good. Andre Walker just kind of drives him into the fence. Gets 2 trip takedowns. Third time he gets the trip takedown, works to his back. It's the rear naked choke. Both guys have 2 submission wins on their record, I believe. They primarily like to strike, though. And in Ozzy's last fight, he snatches the LFA belt, middleweight belt, from Bruno Aziz, a Contender Series veteran. The belt was vacant, by the way. He didn't take it from Aziz, but yeah, man. Bruno was definitely the guy landing the volume early on. Ozzy had to take some punches, but he drops him with a power jab about 2 minutes in. Pops back up, same deal, more volume from Bruno, but when Ozzy lands, there's a clear difference. Had a cut under his eye right away. Bruno is more of a grappler, but wasn't really able to get it going. Anyways, drops him again on an entry, pops back up, and then the third time he put him down right at the end of the first round, the ref stops it. So very dominant performance for Ozzy there against Moses Morieta. Back and forth first round, but finds this beautiful right hook again in the second round, puts him away. Logan Woods, another counter right off of a leg kick. Really stiff knockout there. And yeah, man, there's not a ton of tape on this guy. Like I tried to find all I could. I watched everything that's on Fight Pass. If most of the tape you're gonna find like on YouTube is from amateur fights. He actually got choked out by Dom Reyes as an amateur. It's kind of a hilarious sequence. It's like a 10-second fight. I would highly recommend watching it. It's just something about it was just hilarious to me. Like Dom Reyes just stuffs the takedown. Ozzy immediately gets choked out. Against an amateur fight, man. There's not much to go on. What I have seen though from his LFA tape and whatnot, very accurate striker. A lot of power in his hands. It's true for both of these guys. Similar styles. He's fast, good movement. I like the way I think he tucks his chin better than Joe Pyfer. That's like my one critique of Joe's game. Sometimes he keeps that chin a little bit high, but yeah, Ozzy has shown an ability to take a punch and be able to land the more powerful shot. Um, Not a ton of dynamic. He's not a very dynamic striker, I should say, but he doesn't have to be. He gets done with these accurate and powerful boxing combinations. Good leg kicks too. He could stand to check leg kicks a little bit better. I think that is a hole in Ozzy's game, but yeah, very impressive so far for Ozzy. Joe Pyfer, East Coast guy. He's fought on all the top promotions in the Northeast except for CES, but that's more like New England. But yeah, last fought with CFFC. Very similar performance to Ozzy's last fight. Joe clearly had the power advantage. Drops Trotman a couple times, puts him away, and that was a big comeback win for him. He was very motivated because on the Contender Series in 2020, fights Dustin Stoltzfus is looking good in that fight, but there's like a weird scramble position. Stoltzfus goes to a single leg, takes him down, and he lands on his elbow, and the fight ends. It ends up being a win for Stoltzfus, who looked great in his last fight. I think he's a good fighter. He's kind of gotten the short end of the stick schedule wise, but hopefully now he can establish himself. And maybe if Joe gets in, that'd be cool if they rebook that matchup in the UFC. But we're thinking ahead of ourselves there. Um, the point is that Joe was looking pretty good against Stoltzfus. It was far from over, and then that happened. So he's going to be very motivated. Training out of Henzo Gracie Philly, so undefeated in the UFC. The guys he's going to be rolling with on the daily, we're talking Sean Brady, Andre Petrosky, guys near his weight class. Both very high level grapplers, especially Brady, but Andre Petrosky is very good too. This whole gym is really good. Like I said, undefeated. I know for a fact that they take that very, very seriously. And yeah, man, Joe Pyfer is supposed to be the next guy coming out of this gym. And it's a very similar style to Ozzy Diaz. I mean, with Joe Pyfer, he's pretty big for this division. He's one of those guys where he just seems to have like a natural size advantage. He's kind of built like a light heavyweight, very lean, just huge, huge fighter for this weight class. They're both rangy, but Joe just seems like, again, he's got like that Usman type build to him where like you just don't know how he makes the weight. So it's always good if you can get the guy who's just a little bit stronger. At least it would appear that Joe Pyfer is a little bit stronger. He does have a ton of power in his hands, man. Both of these guys have a lot of power in their hands. It's hard to say who is the better striker because they're both so good. And again, they're very economical. They don't waste a lot. They just pick their spots. I think that Joe has at least he's demonstrated at the pro level a little bit more dynamics to his striking game. He's got good elbows. He's gotten a couple of knockouts with elbows. He's got good leg kicks, very good inside leg kicks. His head kicks he can be a little wayward with. Like I alluded to in the Ozzy fight, I think that he can leave his chin up a little bit too much sometimes when he leans back. That's never a good thing to see, but at the same time, those guys move pretty well. Both of these guys move well. Joe likes to pressure more, but I think that the big factor in this fight is going to be what Joe Pyfer looks to do on the ground. If they strategize, I imagine that they're going to want to go to the ground in this fight. And again, both of these guys like to keep it standing. They both have submission wins, two submission wins, and they've shown good offensive wrestling when it works for them, or when the game plan calls for it, I should say. So it'll just be really interesting to see how this goes. And the odds are very strange. So Ozzy Diaz opens up as a minus 300 favorite. He is now the underdog, but it's close to a pick 'em. I think it's going to be like that. I think that Ozzy got up to plus 134, I was seeing, and now he's like around plus 110. So it's basically a pick 'em. And man, I went back and forth on this one, but I am going to side with Joe Pyfer just for a couple of factors. And again, I would not at all be shocked if Ozzy Diaz wins this fight. It's very close, but I think that Joe Pyfer is going to look to wrestle. And again, just the high level grapplers on that fight team. I think that, like, we know for a fact that they game plan well. Everybody game plans well, but we can't even say that because some gyms just don't seem to. I mean, look at SBG Dublin, man. Like, you can just be in there getting the absolute shit kicked out of you. You go back to the corner, they're like, beautiful, beautiful boxing. Like, who wants that? You know that you're not getting that with Renzo Gracie Philly. So I would be shocked if they don't look to wrestle because Ozzy Diaz, man, like, I would not want to stand with this guy. He's just so accurate. He can take a punch, so. I mean, look, Joe Pyfer likes to strike. They both like to strike. They both have a lot of power. Um, there's just, I don't know. Ozzy is so accurate, and he can take a punch, so he can sit there in the pocket more. Whereas Joe Pyfer kind of just like plots forward, and looks for that big overhand. But yeah, man, I'm looking. Again, it's all in the wrestling, the hypothetical wrestling game plan that we might see from Pyfer, and just the caliber of the fight team he's on. Those are my two main reasons for picking him. But if you go watch the Ozzy Diaz fight tape, the dude is very talented. I would not at all be surprised if Ozzy Diaz wins this fight. Pure coin toss, but I'm just going to go with Pyfer for a couple factors. And also, we got the heavily motivated factor after the elbow injury. So we'll see. Again, coin toss fight, but I'm going to lean Joe Pyfer ever so slightly. So thanks for watching, guys. Sure, subscribe, and take it easy.